I get home and peel off my clothes from the night before. Both me and my clothes smell like him. I step into the shower and wash my hair twice, rinsing his smell off me. Last night, he took my breath away. Under the flashing lights at the party and the blaring music, his lips said my name with a passion-filled lust. His parents would kill him if they knew. The passion between two friends. The touch. I could feel the electricity just heated our chemistry. I couldn't help myself. Taekook, I mutter, his lips against my neck. He takes my hand. Let's get out of here, Cookie. He escorted me out the back door. When we got to his parents' house, he hid me in his closet until he was sure his parents were asleep. We were fire. Taekook made me feel alive unlike any other guy had. His lips and hands danced on every inch of skin I had. His every move was hot and in dark rooms I would name. Who knew, Taekook breathed, that my best friend would be so passionate? Only for you, I replied, my hands in his hair. I was reborn from the ashes of our fire this morning when I woke up with him in my arms. Like we burned to be reborn. Like fire, we were hot and glutinous. We were selfish for thinking about only now. We'd overfed ourselves secrets to keep behind closed doors and in darkened rooms, and malnourished in time. We couldn't help it. Now, I washed what remained of last night from my skin. I had to leave early or his parents would have seen what we made and destroyed it. He promised that we would talk today. I step out and dry myself. Taekook sent off of me. I hugged myself tightly before dressing and flopping onto my bed and checking my phone. One new message. I check the sender. Baby. I tap the message. We were caught. What's gonna happen? I'm scared. My heart grew heavy and my breath quickened. What do you mean? IDK, what's going to happen to me? Remember, I love you, babe. I love you, Jungkook. If you need a place, come to me. The last thing I typed to him. This was the last message he read from me. I couldn't help but let my emotions get the best of me. Rage boiled up inside me and I threw my phone at the wall and watched as the impact shatters my screen. I buried my face into a pillow and screamed until my voice gave out and my throat was raw. When I couldn't scream, I punched the drywall until my knuckles bled. My dad came in and hugged me until my tears stopped. I wouldn't be able to forgive his parents. Days go by and I haven't heard or seen anything. No activity on any media. No messages on anything. Days turned to weeks. He didn't even show up at school anymore. Our friends would ask about him and I couldn't answer their questions because they were my own. Weeks turned to months and I hadn't washed the shirt from the party. Taekook's smell was still a faded stain in the cloth. I had stopped eating and when I did, it wasn't much. My dad's worried about me, but smiles are like band-aids, they only cover the pain. I stopped talking and doing things with my friends and they eventually stopped asking why. I would read through our messages and hurt myself more with our happiness. He'd probably forgotten about me. His parents probably hooked him up with some girl and he was probably much happier without me. I started telling Dad I was sick so I wouldn't have to see the people at school or be reminded of him. I would stay home, alone, every chance I had. I stopped feeling and became numb to anything but the pain I would still feel over the loss of my love. Dad said I'd lost my light and I would reply it's because I'd lost my fire. 6 months went by and it was summer but I still wore long sleeves to hide my waist or perfectly good clean wrists. I stopped everything. 6 months and 2 weeks completely silent. I had lost my own voice to speak and all hope of ever seeing Taekook again. I sat behind my desk, home alone again, and wrote down my last words because I couldn't bring myself to speak them. My hand shook so bad I was worried it wouldn't be legible enough to read. My palms were cold and clammy. Now, I couldn't stand being alone or thinking about Taekook being with somebody else. My mental stability was shot. I didn't want to hurt anymore. I dropped the note at the top of the stairs with my dad's written in cursive on the envelope so they would at least know why. Quietly, I went down to the kitchen to grab a knife. Then, I filled the bath with bubbles and hot water. When I got in, I didn't bother turning the water off. I liked the way the heat bit my skin. My hands still shook as I let the blade kiss my fragile skin. Just once more, I think, as the water around me swallows my blood like hungry fire. As my vision blurred and my eyes grew heavy, the water turned from soapy pink to a heavy red and the smell of metal filled the air. I love you, Taekook. Then black, white lights dance behind my eyelids when I wake back into my nightmare. I come to and hear my dad crying and resting in the arms of my other dad. The sound of my heart on a monitor above me. The pinch of IVs in my arms. The feeling of a familiar hand clinging to mine. I opened my green eyes to the world I had tried to leave. I looked to my right and my dads were comforting each other. Then, to my left, Taekook holding my hand. The shock hit me before any of my emotions could, but when they did, I sat up and cried. From one side my parents hugged me tight and forgiving, and on the other my best friend and lover held my hand and wiped my tears away. He had told me about my parents barging in and scolding his parents for punishing him for being himself. He told me everything that had happened then, Taekook. Long and passionately, we grew again from our ashes, us phoenix. We relit our fire. Taekook wouldn't leave me. Cookie, Taekook looks at me, his black hair falling slightly over his eyes. Yes, I answered. He slid a small silver ring on my thin pale finger. I'm never going to leave you again. We kissed and hugged and cried until the doctor pulled him off me. I'm glad that, for once, I woke up from a nightmare into my sweetest dream.